Okay, everyone, we're ready to start. My name is John Benedictus, Executive Director of the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. And today's topic is on Rondos. And hosting it will be our Technical Director for the NSCAC, Tony LaFerrara. And our guest coach and speaker today is former Director of Coaching with the United Soccer Coaches and also technical advisor for the USYS Olympic Development Program, Ian Barker. And so just before I give you the control there, Ian is going to have a presentation. You can always ask questions on the chat or in the Q&A. And Ian, I'm going to have you, or Tony and Ian, you guys could take over. Hold on a second.
Yeah, Ian, would you prefer that we ask questions at the very end, or
there you go,
whenever there is a question, I guess?
Anytime you're monitoring the chat box, Tony, is good with me.
Yeah, okay. Johnny's going to be doing that, so we can ask the questions anytime. Ian, so before we start, I would just want to say that, you know, I always look forward to your presentation. You know, they're insightful, they're very engaging. Your practical advice, it's amazing. I've used a lot of your suggestions and recommendations over the years, and so I'm really looking forward to this one. And yeah, so I'm going to shut up and let you do it.
Okay, good. Well, thank you guys for having me. For the people listening, I have a long and fruitful relationship with NSCAC. Working with essentially the same organization in the US, formerly the NSCAA United Soccer Coaches. So I've been up to Canada a number of times. Many of you Canadian coaches have come down to coaching badges that we've run in the US. So I really think of this as a North American soccer program, with obviously lots of our guests from Central and South America probably on this webinar. So thank you to John and Tony. So just to get you going, and then Tony, if you just want to chime in before I start. Some years ago, 2018, I was sitting in my office, and there was a big debate on Twitter about whether you always do rondos, you never do rondos. Rondos are the savior of soccer. They're the worst thing that ever happened. And I felt like it was quite a polarizing debate, and it was kind of like Marmite. You either really liked it or you really didn't like it, and there was no in between. And then, despite the fact I was the director of something at a national level, I didn't really know what the word meant. So I sort of researched it, and my study came up that it was sort of basically keep away, forms of keep away. And then I thought, well, we've all been doing forms of keep away for years and years and years. And so sometimes we do them, sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have different variables. So I presented at our convention a 1-hour presentation with 6 rondo activities of a progressive nature. And the audience quite liked it, quite enjoyed it. So it's not a full lesson plan. It's just pieces that you might put in a lesson plan if you want. And the 1-hour video of the session is on YouTube, and I put it in the chat box. And then if you want to follow up with me or John and Tony afterwards, I put my Twitter handle and the NSCAC's Twitter handle in the chat box as well. So Tony, I'll get going if you want to have any observations or questions from there.
Oh, no, Ian, just continue on, please.
Okay, so the first rondo is the one, hopefully, can you see the screen, Tony and John?
Yep.
Okay, so everybody's seen this, right? And when I did this at the convention, and I looked at reviews online afterwards, somebody 3 minutes into the session said, "Why did I come to see this? I know this." So everybody calm down, it's okay. Everywhere you go in the world, when you watch players, and I'm talking about elite levels, Bayern Munich or an MLS team, or going over to else in Europe, you see the players informally get into a keep away game. A lot of guys on the outside, 1 or 2 in the middle, and they play keep away. So players like to do it. Players see it as something they do before the coach interrupts training. So I think it can be at a grassroots level and potentially a senior level, a managed activity. So you can see here, we've got the group around the outside. two, in this case, two players in the middle, and we're trying to split the two in the middle, penetrating pass across the grid, maintain possession. Because in a lot of our cases, our players are all in the same uniform. They hold onto a cone or a scrimmage vest that denotes that they are indeed the defender. And if they intercept it, they drop the cone, they go to the outside, another kid goes in. Everybody's familiar with that. How many defenders? That's a variable, right? How big the circle is of the group is a variable. If you move the players to the perimeter, to the outside of the circle, it has one energy, one vibe. But if you move the players inside the circle, it becomes much more challenging to the possession team. So even at the most humble grassroots level, you can manipulate this environment in any number of ways to increase the degree of potential intensity for the possession group. You could, of course, make it a defensive topic, working on the 2 or the 3 in the middle in tandem defending, but we use this as primarily kind of a warm-up possession. Now, my colleagues in the US who were very underwhelmed and thought it was beneath them to watch this session. So I really like to do 2-touch, 1-touch with this. And the idea is that you take 2 touches and that's the rhythm. But if, because the pressure is good, you're forced to play 1-touch, for the remainder of that possession, you stay at 1-touch. That incentivizes the 2 defenders to put some pressure on the ball, one of the ball possessors at some point, force them into 1-touch and accelerate the speed of play. So 2-touch to 1-touch is a really nice addendum. Another addendum to what you guys might consider a pretty straightforward rondo is, as the ball is traveling across to the receiver, the instruction is that the receiver cannot play it to the immediate right or left player. So you deny them the opportunity to pass it to this player or this player. So now what's happening, as the ball is running across, if the person to the immediate right and the immediate left are clued in, they will switch positions with the teammate to the outside of them. And so now you get an exchange of position here, you get an exchange of position here, and you're actually forcing players to move off the ball a little bit in anticipation of which player is going to receive it. So that's just kind of an interesting little wrinkle. If you choose to watch the YouTube that I posted, I had some MLS U14, 15 players. So what I finally said was, okay, who are the 2 number 10s in your team? And we picked a couple of kids. And then at any time, that kid could wander into the middle of the grid as kind of a bumper. So now the player in possession could maybe hit a central player and wouldn't go all the way across the grid, but hit the central player who would then bump it out. But rather than leave the central player in permanently, which you certainly could do, we allowed players to walk through the grid at different times. And so now the defenders have the challenge of the person in possession, the person who's about to receive it, the fear of being split, and then also the potential of other players in the grid that are being used as connecting players. So the most fundamental of rondos, in my opinion, full group, but a ton of variables to really increase the relevance and certainly the technical dimension of this activity. And then furthermore, and it's actually in the YouTube, this is a great time where, depending on your comfort level with the social group you have, like if they know each other, if they're a pretty fired up, spunky group, if you've ever done this as a player, there's a lot of smack talking, right? You can have some fun here, and it can be an environment where you encourage the players to challenge each other. You kind of tease the 2 guys in the middle a little bit, and nobody wants to be in the middle. And if you can split them, or you can nutmeg them, or you can play it over them, or you can play a pass that maybe puts your teammate into a little bit of pressure and you're kind of trying to dump on them a little bit. So it can be, as we're starting to think about the components, technical, tactical, physical, and psychological, even in this most fundamental of warm-up that we all do, there is more complexity. So that.
Thank you for watching this short preview video from the National Soccer Coaches Association of Canada. To see the full video, plus have access to hundreds of other coaching videos, blogs, webinars, and podcasts, plus free and discounted coach education courses and other soccer merchandise, plus to have exclusive access to register for all future NSCAC conventions, both live and online. Click on the link below to become a member of the NSCAC today. Also, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as your continued support allows us to continue to provide coach education and coach development resources to soccer coaches across Canada and worldwide. Thank you again for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you at future NSCAC events.